Welcome back to Daily Insights, where we mix truth with laughs and sprinkle in a bit of I told you so. Today, we're diving into one of the internet's juiciest, most dramatic plot lines. Women who filed for divorce and then went, wait, come back. Some call it regret, others call it growth. We call it a compilation of
And
life
on today's
lessons.
episode of another woman that has now regretted her divorce. Let's go.
Hey, it's Jenna. Recently divorced and kind of figuring out this new way of life. I was married for 23 years and with that person for 3 years prior. So for a total of 26 years of my life, I have been out of the game of dating, making friends, going out, and stuff like that as a single woman in her 40s. Yeah, I'm 47. So I've raised children. My children are adult children now. And it's kind of interesting because it's so lonely at this stage in life after divorce, especially with older children, because you make all your friends when they're younger, or at least I did. I met my friends mostly through my kids' activities. I was a stay-at-home mom, and I took them to practices. I went to school, all that stuff.
Hey. Let's go. First on our list. Ah, yes, the classic case of thinking you're Beyoncé, but ending up with your cat and a half-empty bottle of wine on a Friday night. Sometimes people confuse temporary frustration with a permanent problem. Divorce isn't a magic wand. It's more like a financial grenade.
Hey, it's me, Jenna. Recently divorced and trying to survive this year. I'm gonna be honest. The random things that trigger me are the craziest things. I'm sitting in my car, literally sitting in my car, trying to pull myself together because I did what any mom does, and I pulled an emergency drive to my daughter because she needed something, and drove an hour because she's at college to drop something off, and was just so thankful that I could do it for her and fit her in my schedule. And the littlest thing she said just triggered me. And this is the second time in a week that my child has triggered me without even meaning to. So we're getting ready to leave, and she's like, well, I'll be home because I'm going to be at the Clemson Notre Dame game because Dad's going to take us all. You think that's nothing, right? Nothing, right? And it instantly, she instantly saw a switch in me. And she's like, what's wrong? And I'm like, nothing. Because, I don't talk about that stuff. I don't want her to worry. So last week she says, oh, well, Dad said for Christmas we're gonna go to Gatlinburg and be there for the holidays and do Dollywood. That man never once ever went to Gatlinburg or Dollywood ever in his entire life before he met me. That was where my family always went. I'm from Tennessee. That's something we always did. It was a bonding thing. And now that's what he's trying to do. It's like he's taken every single tradition I've ever done and now turned it into his. Everything I've ever done. Now I find myself triggered because during the hardest time of my year last year, of me literally trying to stay alive, me dealing with all the craziness of my ex, the lying, the alienation, him calling me a whore, him having my children call me a whore. Why? Not because I did anything bad, because I wore spaghetti straps and all that. And the only way that he could use my children against me was to say I was on social media. I'm a photographer. I make silly TikToks. Honestly, I'll probably progress more with my TikToks because at first they were just pictures. But the more I was stressed, the more I hid in myself, the more I tried to survive, the more I took refuge in TikToks and finding stuff that, resonated with me. And honestly, it's the way I realized what a covert narcissist was, or how bad my abuse was, or mental abuse, or financial abuse, and all that stuff. Literally, TikTok has saved my life in so many ways. Who would think, Mom, we're going to Gatlinburg for Christmas, would trigger me? This man's had at least 3 vacations in the past year to really nice places with my children. At least 3 that I know of, because he has them lie to me. He has them outright lie to me about so much stuff. So who knows? God knows what they've done. And then the holidays and all that. Now my triggers are, oh, he gets to just go and take my kids to the Notre Dame and Clemson game. I wish I could do that. I can't afford to do that. Why? Because he screwed me. He lied about owning a company. And there's ways to prove it. I'm trying to be happy and show my kids that like life can move on, but the triggers, the random fucking triggers that have me sitting in a Quick Trip parking lot trying not to cry. Why? Because my ex has so much money. He makes more than $18,000 a month easily, or at least he did. He made almost $1 million the year before we divorced and then lied about it. He has all the money at his fingertips to do whatever he wants, to buy my children, take them on trips, take them on vacations. Why I literally have the bare minimum to pay my bills on top of trying to restart a career because it was a hobby, because I was a stay-at-home mom. And now I sit here with the triggers. A fucking trigger because he's going to the Clemson Notre Dame game with my kids. I can't just randomly afford that. Hell, I can't even get them all in the same room at the same time. So I sit here. And I'm going to get through this trigger. I'm going to suck it up, buttercup.
So let's just be real
and
here.
I'm move on. But it's not fair. Like, it's not fair. I'm pissed.
That man was able to give you. That's really all it is. Now, on to part 2.
The second one, oof, when you thought he'd cry for 3 years, but he already has a new gym membership, a new girl, and a new glow-up. People underestimate how much someone grows once they stop being nagged 24/7. Kidding, mostly. You never really miss a good man until your Uber driver shows up late and judges your playlist. Modern dating can be a wake-up call. Turns out, independence doesn't cuddle you at night or help you put up IKEA furniture. For $30,000, you could have just gone to Bali, started a business, and bought a year's worth of therapy. Divorce is expensive, especially when the only thing you win is loneliness and joint custody of the dog.
Which is casual. You know, he's like, I thought this was casual between us. So when was this casual? I am with you all the fucking time. And it's not because I'm clingy or I'm just inviting myself. You're inviting me. You are telling me I like you in my space. I asked you if you want me to leave and you say no. If you're telling me these words that are coming out of your mouth, I'm going to fucking believe you. Right? Like, I'm not delusional. You told me you weren't talking to anybody else. Okay, cool. You're not talking, right? Guys, if you tell a girl that, what? And I think, here's my assessment of the whole situation, is that, I think that he likes me more than he cares to admit to. And that scares him. And he still wants to act like he's in college. And he's not. And, you know, I told him on night 1 when he came home that I'm not an option. And I'm not going to be played. And that's just not going to happen. And that's exactly what he fucking did. Right? So we fought a lot. And he took it. He took what I had to say. I mean, I don't know how much he listened or whatever. But he sat there and he was apologetic and, you know, he got caught. And I even said her name. So that he knew, I know her name. She's 22. What are you gonna do with a 22-year-old in the fucking Philippines? How is that gonna work? I'd love to know. I would love to know how that's gonna work. When I'm right here. Oh, and I told him that I loved him because that's also true. And, you know, love just happens sometimes, right? And it doesn't matter how long you've known somebody and whatever, and love just can be love. And he fucking lied to me.
Third one, plot twist. Sometimes the divorce was the glow-up. But for him, relationships are mirrors. When you leave someone expecting them to collapse and they thrive, maybe you were the storm, not the umbrella.
It's really hard. And where are all the good men? Why aren't you looking for good women who are ready to be in a relationship and not sleep around? What are you doing? Where are you?
This is what my friends who are married don't understand. First off, it is so difficult to have been single throughout the entire pandemic and go through that profound trauma all alone without some kind of support system. And I also think it's difficult that you're no one's priority. Like, there aren't really people checking up on me in the same way as if you have someone to come home to. I don't have a partner. I've been single for at least almost 4 years, since November of 2019, whatever, how long that is. And it's just so difficult because you realize that you have to be your own knight in shining armor, that there's no one coming to save you, that there's no one really is there for you. You're alone at the end of the day. And it's so much harder to go through the ups and downs and tumultuousness of life when you don't have companionship and you don't have a partner, and it sucks.
If I had known this, it would have saved me from a second divorce. Every choice you make stems from what you believe you deserve. After my divorce, no confidence. It was my mission to get into another relationship and fall in love. I needed to prove to myself that my divorce was the right decision. I needed someone to make me feel like I was worth loving. I didn't know how to do that for myself. And when you're coming from that place of lack, you choose the wrong partners. And here's divorce number 2. Don't do what I did. Take the time to get to know yourself and to like yourself.
A lot of people feel the need to tell somebody getting divorced that you should date yourself for a while. Take some time, figure out what you like. I just got out of a marriage. I know what I don't like, okay? So let me figure out what I do like.
Now let's get real for a sec. Divorce regret is a legit psychological phenomenon. It can come from overestimating life after separation, underestimating your partner's value, realizing dating in your 30s or 40s isn't like Netflix said it would be. This doesn't mean every divorce is wrong, but impulsive ones? That's where the regrets love to party.
I have nobody in my life except for TikTok to talk to. So here we are. And so it was my surprise when today in the car, my daughters were like, "Hey, are we going to Dada's friend's house?" I was like, "Oh no, who's Dada's friends?" And I asked for their name, and they were like, "We don't know her name, but she has 2 cats. She's nice." And I was like, "Oh, she has 2 cats?" She was like, "Yeah, we went to her house. She has 2 cats." He did not run this by me. Fuck other people. Whatever. Not even divorced yet. Not even gonna work on yourself at all. Just gonna jump into another relationship. And one last thing, since we're ranting about my soon-to-be ex-husband, right? The reason why I know for a fact that he's at least seeing another woman is because he bought new shampoo. He didn't just buy shampoo. He bought shampoo, conditioner, and I think a body wash. Honestly, I didn't look at them that closely. Very aesthetically pleasing packaging. The shampoo is not a regular shampoo. It's an apple cider vinegar clarifying shampoo. He didn't just walk into a store and said, "Oh, that's the one for me." A woman told him to buy that. All of that combined, I think it's pretty solid to say that he's seeing someone else. Weeks after we decided to get divorced, I just got off the phone with my kids, and it tears my heart out every single time I talk to them. I know I haven't spoken to them a lot, but this is why, because it absolutely kills me every single time. I miss them so much.
Everybody don't want her to have custody of her kids, including her own mother, because what she did was unacceptable. Check it out.
So I cut off contact with my mom because she abused, stalked, and harassed me. But I was at a very desperate place, right, when it was official that my baby daddy officially was like, "Hey, I don't think you should be in our kids' lives at all." So I reached out to my mom because I thought maybe she would have some resources that could help me.
So my initial reaction, after getting the kind of response back to what my terms were or are for the divorce, pretty much I'm okay with what the response was. And the attorney basically just explained that, okay, yes, this is what I'm trying to understand what he explained. Like, if I accept, then basically that's our agreement. And then when I go to the hearing later this week, it would basically just be like read before the court or whoever, and I just have to verbally say that I agree, and it'll be done with. We would just sign the divorce paperwork. And it's like every emotion that I felt like when I left originally is like coming back. And it's just to the point where I want everything to be done and over with. But it's just like one more thing that's like ending in my life. And I know this was like my decision, but I don't know. I just don't want to go. And I'm probably not going to post this, but, or maybe I will. I don't know. It'll depend on if I can make it through this whole thing later this week. I don't know. I just hate feeling this way. And I'm like torn between wanting someone to go with me. Now I'm like, I don't even want anyone to go with me, because what's the purpose going to be? For what, to sit there while I know it's going to be emotional. I haven't seen him in 6 months, and this is going to be the first time we're face to face, and then it's like finally closing that chapter.
Fifth, whether you're married, single, or divorce curious, let today's episode remind you: don't confuse boredom with being unloved. Don't make permanent decisions based on temporary feelings. And maybe, just maybe, couples therapy costs less than a courtroom. Thanks for watching Daily Insights. If you laughed, learned, or saw your ex in one of these clips, go ahead and like, comment, subscribe. Because we've got more spicy truth, hilarious clips, and maybe a video on men regretting divorce too. You know, for balance. Until next time, choose growth over ghosting. And maybe call your husband.